Okay, we are live now. Thank you for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here with, so first of all, my name is Brian Weiss. I'm here with Megan Marsh. We do these Friday lives to
Hello.
talk about what we feel is a very important topic, and it is in the mortgage industry and how the real estate industry and the mortgage industry are coming together and evolving. Each of our independent industries have evolved a lot over the last a few years, right? The real estate industry has evolved over the last few years. And I feel like we're all sort of in an inflection point and evolving at the same time right now. So that creates an opportunities and it creates an opportunity to build and do something unique. And to start this conversation, and the topic of today's call really is about the perfect real estate agent or this perfect real estate and mortgage partnership. We know there are a lot of different ways to do partnership, and we're gonna get into that today. But first of all, I want to talk about Megan's history because you've got such a unique story about how you came through the mortgage industry, starting as a loan officer, what, 20 years ago, and then I'll let you tell the story. It's actually pretty amazing. What brought you to this place?
Yeah. I just posted on my TikTok account the start of the story because I think when you go through really difficult things for a while, you don't like to tell them because they're embarrassing or you think people are going to look at you in a certain way. But what they do is, we all go through these phases in life and, where we're trying to figure things out or we go through an experience and it changes our outlook of what people experience in the world. And
Mhm.
that's what happened to me. Like, I got into the mortgage industry, like most of us who get into real estate and mortgage, having no plans to get into it. And it was like this amazing business and career where there's no cap on income if you work hard. I loved what I was doing and didn't understand that, you know, I was very sheltered in our little corner of the world in Western PA. I didn't know what was out there. I didn't know how people were paid. I never thought about starting my own business. And most people would have said, oh my gosh, like you're closing how much business? You're closing 150, 200 units a year. Like you could, you really have a great business. And I got pretty burned out after 7, 8 years and decided to take some time for myself and backed off. And when my pipeline shrunk, the person I was working for thought I was starting my own business, and I wasn't. And so I walked in one day and I was told that I needed to leave and got escorted out by the police and then had two people walk out with me. I mean, it was crazy.
I've
And
heard you refer to this as your Jerry Maguire moment.
yeah, it was, right? And
Mhm.
gosh, I wish I had thought about like starting my own business because
And up
you
to that point, like up to that point, you had not even thought about opening your own business. This wasn't, you thought your world was set and this was the bubble of the mortgage industry. But then your
yeah,
hand
and
was sort of
now I understand
forced,
why he
right?
was afraid I was going to do it, right? My family had started their own real estate brokerage and you know, this owner has the one-stop shop and he knew the value of the one-stop shop. So for
Mm.
anyone who has one business, a real estate brokerage, or maybe you have a title company, or you just have mortgage, whatever the case. And these businesses are great on their own, but the power and the compounding effect of doing them all together is so enormous. I don't even think most people understand that if they do it the right way because there's nobody out there. There wasn't anyone then, and there still are very few. There's some coming, but very few people are saying, here, let me show you how to double and triple your business in a way that is manageable as a business owner. And so, yeah, I didn't have any help and I had to figure it out on my own very quickly.
Hmm.
And it took me it took me from that point, that was in 2012 or 13. It took me a good 5, 6, 7 years to figure it out of failing, screwing up, wasting money, trying it this way, opening brokerages 1, 2, 3 times. Like we've sat down and tried to add the math to it, and it literally exceeds $500,000 that if I had had someone guiding me who knew how to do these things the right way, that we could have saved.
Mhm.
And so when we opened our third mortgage brokerage, um, and by the time we opened it the third time, it kept growing each time. The amount of business we did, the teams, the success, how quickly we'd succeed, the resources and tools. And there weren't even Facebook groups at the point of when I first opened. So by the third time, which was in 2019, 2020, it grew really quickly. But like my desire with who I helped had really changed at that point. Like I loved helping home buyers my whole career. And I would have told you were crazy if you had asked me if I'd ever not originate loans. And then all of a sudden in 19 and 20, I was like, I need to figure out like what I want to do here, because yes, I'm doing a lot of business and I can make a lot of money, but it's not fulfilling me. And it really came down to the more loan officers or real estate brokers and agents I talked to, how everyone really wanted to have additional income in their business, or loan officers weren't sure if they could open a brokerage and if it's profitable and if they had it in them, what to do next. And these were like badasses in the industry. And it just blew me away because I'd gotten so far past that like initial scare and I was forced into it instead of thinking about being like jumping into a scary situation. That's a blessing. Now, when I look back, I might have never made the leap on my own if I wasn't forced. But since I was, right, you develop these systems, and now hearing people who are so capable not know if they can do it is what ultimately brought us to where we are today with this, business model for loan officers, real estate brokers, and anyone who is business minded and wants to add a mortgage brokerage, mortgage business to their business or start a mortgage brokerage. We have created a flawless process, support system, and outsourcing system that they can use to make it so they can focus on selling. They can build a team. They can learn from people. They don't have to make the mistakes. And so that's what led us to where we are here today. Right? It really comes down to giving people the confidence that they need to step into being able to make a decision. So if you're stuck right now, like I feel like so many people are, that people are in this phase of like, what do I do? Like my challenge would be, don't be afraid to start having conversations about this. Like lean into learning, lean into challenging yourself, because it'll get you closer to what you really want. You might not think that a mortgage brokerage is what you want, but it very well could be the very thing that'll lead you to the things you truly want.
And I think I always like starting these conversations off with your story, because it's an important part of all of this to draw on. If you're going to partner with somebody, whether you're in real estate or mortgage, if you're going to partner with somebody to help you take that entrepreneurial leap, um, you want to make sure you've got the history, the knowledge, all of the platform behind you. Um, because the reality is anybody can start a mortgage company, but as you've learned, it can be an expensive proposition as you're learning and making mistakes along the way. My dad used to say that, and still says that the best lessons in life are the most expensive lessons in life. So you've made those mistakes, you've spent the money, and now you've built the platform so that other people don't have to make the same mistakes. You built the platform,
Yep.
you have the processes, you have the outline and the resources to help create the path so people can start their company without having to spend that money on the mistakes. I think that's something that's really overlooked in a lot of areas, right?
Yeah, if you've never started any business, you might not realize that. If you've started any business that you've tried to grow, right? Like if you've started something and it's just yourself, like doing something yourself, right? Not that it's not hard, but it's easy to get along with yourself. It's easy to follow your own systems, right? But if you want to grow anything that is beyond single person systems, which if it's a business you're adding on, so if you're in real estate and you want to add, you probably don't want to work both businesses yourself.
Hmm.
So having a model to step into, and like you said, especially a model from people like Andre and myself and our team, we've people who've been with us for over 10 years now and built our brokerages. Like you're talking people who have started it themselves, right? With maybe one person or two employees, to building a team, to building a company with loan officers, to not producing and just running a business. Like all levels of experience of running this type of business requires different systems, different support levels, different things that people need. And we've lived it, we've built it, we've done it all. And, we're helping other people do the same thing. And so going through that experience, absolutely hands down, because then what it does is the people who come into this model, and that's why I didn't understand franchising when it was first introduced to me. But now, like, franchising is a business model that was created to help new founders, new owners, right, acquire the knowledge, the systems, and the support needed to quickly have the life that they want by skipping over all the stuff, the
Yep.
5, 6, 7 years.
Yes. And the experience and the experience that you bring to the table, that the team brings to the table, really leads us to a bigger opportunity. And to kind of dig into the platform and what that looks like, I think we need to talk about the traditional models. So I too have been in mortgage for 30 years, almost all of that time with retail companies, over half of that time as a loan officer and a
Mm-hmm.
President's Club level producer myself. So you and I both speak from mortgage industry experience, but I want to talk about the traditional models. There's the desk rental agreement, right? There, if you're in real estate or you're a loan officer, you know exactly what that means. That's renting a space in a real estate office. You're paying market rent for that space, and it's an in-house relationship because you're there. There's also the MSAs, also a very popular model. And MSAs are basically paying for advertising space, right? We
Yep.
co-brand a flyer, we co-brand an email campaign, we co-brand on the website. You're paying for that advertising. We all know you cannot pay for business, you cannot pay for leads, but you can pay for advertising. So there's the MSAs. But then there's company ownership. And here's where it gets really interesting. And think about this conceptually. If you're in real estate, if you're a company owner, you're a real estate agent, you work really hard, you spend all the money to generate a lead. And then within that first conversation, one of the questions is, are you pre-approved? So you spend all that time and effort getting a lead, and you immediately refer that person out to another mortgage company. And guess what? That revenue goes with it. Okay, so think about this for a second. If you have your own in-house mortgage company, and I'm talking to real estate agents right now, I'll get to the loan officers in a second, but if you own your own mortgage company, that revenue stays with you. And it's not a money grab. It's what it is. It's better for the clients. Clients prefer one-stop shop. Studies show it. Um, you're providing a better level of service because the communication is consistent. It's within the same umbrella. So it's a win for the borrower on many levels. Also, it's more cost effective for the borrower because we're not having to split that revenue to feed so many different mouths. So it's a win across the board and gives you more control, not control in a bad way, but control in the sense that the client gets a better experience. So in ownership, the models traditionally have been reserved for the bigger companies, right? So we won't name any names. We know the big companies have their own in-house mortgage companies and they're joint ventures. And this is something I really understood when I started to have conversations with you, Megan, is those joint ventures benefit two people. They benefit the owner of
Yep.
the real estate
That's it.
company. They benefit the owner of the mortgage company. So in your model, in Colab's model, you can actually, as the real estate company owner, you own 100% of the shares and you can share ownership of that company with other people that are going to participate. That could be agents, that could be loan officers, it could be anybody that you choose to be a business partner. And it's all completely compliant. It's legal, it's okay. There's a
It's set
Housing
up,
Wire
the
article that I
agreements are in
share.
place.
Yes, yes,
I mean, we
yes.
set it up because at the heart of it, I'm a loan officer. I was boots on the ground building my business, just like the real estate agents in my family. They were boots on the ground building business. And I think it's only fair that the people that are working hard are the ones that have an opportunity to participate. And we have done a joint venture, okay, with an ancillary business. And the problem that would come up with a joint venture is all of a sudden, if you have one side that doesn't want to allow other people in or doesn't want to do something the way you want to do it, you don't have the control to change that business model. It also, smushes the profit margins as the owner who's trying not to produce to, serve your employees or contractors. And now it's like, I don't know if I can share in this or else I'm going to have to also produce, which then pulls you back into the other problem you're having. And I've met with people who went through those models, not just myself, and they go through the same thing. And so when we thought through of creating this, like all of this was built the way it's been built because of the personal experiences, wanting someone to teach us how, wanting to be able to, when we'd work with an agent who was sending us 10, 12, 15 deals a year, like, hey, you support this business. Do you want to invest in this business and be able to get a return on the business that you're investing in, just like any other business that you invest in? And so we made sure that that was possible for people that are boots on the ground. And it doesn't matter like where they work, right? Like they are part of what we're doing because we are true. I call them power partners. It's the same thing with our loan officers in our brokerage, like making them part of things that we're continuing to build now because our mindset is so different. We still run a mortgage brokerage alongside the people we're helping build their own because that's how we stay on top of what's going on. You jump out of doing anything for a period of time, you're going to lose a pulse of how to be relevant and how to solve problems relevantly. I'm not originating anymore, but I'm helping, I help our loan officers, I train them. I try to go back into our loan system that I was in for, 17 years, and I can't even find where a stinking button is. Like, it's crazy. Mm-hmm. So that's why it was important for us and will continue to be to run a brokerage alongside of our brokers because that's how we learn what banks are best. That's how we figure out what account executives that we work with and the lenders are best. That's how we learn all the things and solve the problems with our people.
Absolutely. And I think an important point too is we're talking about the loan officer track here, right? We've got several people we're working with right now that are loan officers that are in the process of opening their own mortgage company. And some comments and testimonials that come to mind is on a call the other day, one of the loan officers said, I had most recently had not had my best production month ever, but it was my best income month because he's no longer in that bloated retail model where they're taking all the margin for themselves to run the platform, and the loan officer has to take. He was at 100 basis points, I think.
Right, and his brokerage is even open. It's going to get
money.
better.
Yes, it's going to get even better over time, of course. And we help people get on that truly entrepreneurial path. And that's what I have been talking a lot about is the next level entrepreneurship. Because if you're in a fully commissioned job, you're an entrepreneur to a certain level. But when you're truly a business owner, that's next level entrepreneurship. And we're helping put people on that path, which to me is a ton of fun.
I love it. I can't believe I never thought about it my first 10 years. It's nuts, but you don't. I think it's a fear. You block it out or you think it's going to be more work than it is. But it can be just like, it can be just like what it's like when you're originating somewhere. If you learn how to delegate effectively and you have the right support on the back end and you know where to go to get the answers.
Mm-hmm. So in these calls, we cover a lot in 15 or 20 minutes, and we're just now bumping up against the 20-minute mark. So I do want to wrap this up to say that,
Yeah.
we cover this all at a high level. And I think for people that see this, there's a ton of questions. And does this even make sense? Is it legal? What does the math look like? And you can reach out to Megan or I. You can find us anywhere on social media.
Mhm.
Send us a DM. We'd be happy to run a pro forma for you. We can show you the model. We can show you our systems. We can show you all of the impact areas where we jump in and help build the platform and help you maintain the platform so it doesn't have to cost you additional time. You can learn from the mistakes that have come before you, shorten the learning curve, lessen the risk, and walk away building more revenue for you and your family and more equity. The key here is ownership. You own your book of business when you work for a company to a certain degree, but you still don't have a saleable asset. When you build your own mortgage company, it's a saleable asset. If you're already in real estate, it just adds value to your current company. If you're a loan officer transitioning to your own company, it's a saleable asset. That's legacy for you and your family. It's more income and legacy. So
It
please reach
is.
out
And we will be back here next week, every Friday at 2 o'clock Eastern
every
Standard
Friday, 2
Time.
o'clock Eastern Time. Yep. Thanks for watching. Thanks, Megan.
Bye.